Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have learned as I have grown into the person that I am today. And I have my meditation books with me here today. I have The Language of Letting Go, which is the sister companion book to Codependent No More by Melody Beatty. I have Melody Beatty's other meditation book, Journey to the Heart, which I love. And I also have A Year of Positive Thinking, Daily Inspiration, Wisdom, and Courage by Cindy Spiegel. I love all three of these books. You guys know that I do. So let's get right into it. I actually think I'm going to focus on the Melody Beatty ones today, and we will leave Cindy Spiegel for tomorrow. We'll have to wait and see, I guess, how I'm feeling tomorrow. All right, let's get into this. Today, I'm going to read from Journey to the Heart first. Today is August 20th. Hold on a second. August 20th. Your soul can be at peace. Peace is all around you. If you forget to be peaceful, try some things. Forgive, trust, love yourself. Be still, be kind, be gentle. Do these things until peace returns. Seek places of healing. Seek places of power. Come back to center. Breathe deeply. Breathe in the air, the energy, the loving resources around you. Fill up on life. Fill up until you find and feel peace. Work things out. Work things through. Release the past. Take the steps your heart leads you to do. Do this until you find and feel peace. Breathe deeply. With each breath, release your fear. If you know what's causing your fear, write it down. Speak it out. If your fears are unknown, let them go too. Don't tangle yourself up trying to figure out or understand. Trust that your body, your soul, your heart is healing and releasing. Be gentle with yourself. A place inside you is healing its fears, telling you something, feeling something. Don't punish or abuse it for feeling afraid. That won't make your fears go away. That will make the beautiful, delicate part of you go away. Be tender and gentle. Rest until your fears subside. Rest until peace returns. Peace is yours for the asking, the wanting, the seeking. Desire it with passion, and you shall see it. Find it, have it. No matter what you're going through, your soul can be at peace. I really like that meditation, and it brings up so many memories for me, you know. I've said in videos in the last year probably that peace and serenity today are not a luxury for me, and that I have worked really hard in my life to achieve peace and serenity. But I think that you would have to truly understand the chaos, toxicity, and turmoil that I lived in the past to understand why peace and serenity are so important for me today. And, you know, there have been many points in my life when I had a lot of toxicity and negativity in my life, and just my life was out of control, and I had no peace and serenity. I didn't really know what peace and serenity is. I think until you start practicing, well, this is just my experience, but I think until I started practicing peace and serenity and really working towards that, I don't really think that I knew what that was. I mean, I would hear people say, you know, like, oh, I feel so peaceful today, or I feel very serene, or whatever. But I don't know if I really truly understood. I think I equated that to calm, you know, being calm and being present, which is still something that I work on, being present. But I don't know that I understood what peace and serenity was, you know? And so there were many periods in my life, right? Obviously, when I was in active addiction, that was a period that I had no peace and serenity. But there was a period about 10 years ago, too. And I've talked a lot about this on my vlog. It was a period where my husband and I were going out a lot. We were going out like literally Wednesday through Sunday. And it's funny that I'm talking about this coming up on our 13-year anniversary, because this was like the first 2 years. Well, I guess it was about 11 years ago. This was like the first 2 years of our relationship. And I wasn't going to any meetings. I wasn't actively working with my sponsor. And really the only connection that I had to a 12-step program was my best friend, Tanya. And I would talk to her, you know, like every day, still like I do now. But you know, the thing is that I always said, like, I'm sober. I always talked about being in sobriety, but I wasn't doing any of the work. I wasn't doing any inventory. I wasn't reading any text, a 12-step text. I wasn't reading any self-help, motivation, inspirational books. I wasn't talking to my sponsor about what was going on, and I was just pushing down all these feelings and all these emotions that I had, most of which were hurt and pain and sadness, loss, grief, and I just pushed them down, put a smile on my face, and acted like everything was okay, and it wasn't, you know? And I developed a lot of really great friendships at that time, but I also spent a lot of my time really just having conversations that were pointless, wasting my time with people that didn't really get me, and I didn't really get them, you know, and it was all about, like, and there's nothing wrong with this, but it was all about, you know, like, just, it was like almost kind of manic, if that makes sense. It was just like, do all this throughout the day, and then get this done, and then get this done, and then go out that night, and then repeat, rinse and repeat, you know what I mean? And I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy, and I had no peace and serenity in my life. And then, you know, 4 years after Alex and I got together, well, it was really 3 years. It was 10 years ago, I guess, because the first year after my mom passed away is when I stopped going to meetings in there somewhere. And then the 3 years after that, and then I came back into a 12-step program. And I mean, I truly believe I had to go through that. I think I had to go through basically feeling I had lost like every peace and serenity that I had in my life, that I was going to lose my marriage, that I didn't know what was going to go on. And you know, the scariest thing about that to me is, in retrospect, like, we talk about like these ideas of like peace and serenity and calm and happiness, right, as being these little things. But for an addict and an alcoholic, like, those are things that can lead us back to the drink or the drug. And, you know, one of the things that Tanya would say to me at the time is, I don't know how you're not drinking. She was like, if I were in your shoes, like, I was going through what you're going through, because I just was unhappy about everything in my life, you know, and I had no gratitude. She said I would be drinking. If I was in a bar as much as you're in a bar, I would be drinking. She was like, I don't know how you do it, you know? She's like, you have no contact with a sponsor. You're not going to meetings. You're not processing what's going on, talking about your feelings. You're not doing any of that kind of stuff, you know? I know. And I would say, I know. I wasn't like resistant to it. I was like, I know. And I was so afraid to ask for help. I was so afraid to just reach out to somebody, which, if you know my story, the day that I came back into going to meetings, I called up Tanya. I was literally making a list right in there, and I was standing at the kitchen counter, well, the island that we have, and I was making a list of like laundry, vacuum, make bed, and I got to like I don't know what things were on there, but I got to like the third or fourth thing, and I just lost it. I started bawling, and I called Tanya up, and I said, will you take me to a meeting? And she said, I've been praying for, 4 years for you to ask me that. And I don't know what it was that day. It was truly, truly, truly a God moment. But then I came back in, and I started listening to what people had to say. I started thinking, like, if you really want to get better, you have to do the things that people say. And that doesn't just apply to recovery. That applies to anything, right? And, I heard this lead, which is where somebody tells their story, right after I came back in. It was like that night or the next night I was listening to, I think it was that night actually, I was listening to this lead of this person telling a story, and she said, it's hard to fall off the wagon when you're sitting in the middle of it. And that was something I had never done before. I had never been in the middle of the wagon. And what that means is I had never been like actively involved in service work or actively involved with a sponsor or whatever, like I just went through the motions. And I think to fully, whatever you're going to do, whether it's go to a counselor, go to a therapist, whatever it is, read self-help books, go to a 12-step program, whatever you're going to do. Like I talked about this yesterday, you have to allow it to work in your life. You have to allow it to really have a profound effect on you. And I didn't believe in it, I don't think. I mean, I did the work to stay sober. Like I went to meetings and I had a sponsor by name, but I didn't do any of the work. I mean, I'm doing more work today at 26 and a half years because I want to hold on to that peace and serenity so bad than I ever did at 2, 3, 4 years. I'd say my first 2 years, I busted my butt. And then after that, I just kind of got really complacent and was like, well, I got my life back. I don't really need to do this. Although I would see people that had 40 plus years of sobriety and they had happiness in their heart and healthy relationships. And I was like, well, but why don't I feel like that? Well, because I wasn't doing the things that they were doing, There have been other periods in my life, I was involved in a friend group at one point that was very filled with chaos and toxicity. Tanya and I both were part of this group. And I didn't even know it at the time. It was just constant drama. This is years and years and years ago. And Tanya and I talk about that sometimes. We're like, God, I wouldn't go back to that for anything. But there is a part of me inside, because I grew up in chaos, that is attracted to that chaos and that drama, But I don't have it today, and I wake up, and I don't know, I just don't have not the diagnosable anxiety, that's not what I'm talking about, but the anxiety of just like, of this and that, and seeing this person and having to deal with, I don't deal with that anymore. I just don't. You know, I don't have people in my life that cause me a lot of stress today. You know, I have tried to remove as much toxicity and negativity from my life as I possibly can. And one of the ways that I get to peace and serenity is through gratitude. So I really practice gratitude like on a daily basis, because for me, do you hear my dog in the not my dog, but my neighbor's dog in the background? Do you hear that? To practice and be appreciative of everything that I have been given in my life, leads me to a point of peace and serenity, because I'm like, wow, like I have calm in my life today, but I have to be grateful for that calm, and I have to practice that, right? And so when I start walking back into chaos again, I have to step back, call my sponsor, or write it down and journal it, and take a look at it, you know, because sometimes that chaos and toxicity is attractive to me. If you're somebody that has a lot of chaos and toxicity around you, ask yourself a question that was proposed to me years ago. What's your payoff in that? Because if you're somebody that if you're constantly talking about the negative people in your life, the toxic people in your life, the chaos in your life, or if you feel that you have a lot of that, what is your payoff? You're getting something out of that, or you wouldn't allow that to be in your life. And when somebody said that to me, I was like, at first I was like, oh no, that's not true. It's all these other people. Like, it's all their, and then I was like, well, man, I'm just as chaotic and toxic as they are, you know? And if I want to improve as a person, then I got to work on that. I got to rid myself of that, you know? Not just put lip service to it, but actually do the work, you know? When we talk about being a better person on a daily basis, it's like pulling back, you know? Like, one of the things I have, like, this doesn't really apply to all this, but just as an example, like, one of the things I have really, really worked on in the last couple years is not cussing as much. Because I used to cuss up a storm. I mean, literally, a sentence couldn't get out of my mouth without a swear word in it. I'm being completely honest. Like, to the point where my mom one time said to me, she's like, I don't know what happened to you, but like, you cuss all the time. She's like, I think it's because you hang out with all those old timers in the program that they all cuss like that. But it was true, you know? And when I got on YouTube, I was very conscious of that. And now it's funny, because when I cuss, I'll say something like, oh, 25 cents in the cuss jar or whatever, but I just really, in my real life, I don't cuss like that either. And, you know, I've really taken a look at it. And I think there's a time and a place for cuss words. I think when appropriate, they can be used. But I also believe, my mom said to me at one point, you know, when you use a lot of cuss words and things like that, people stop listening to what you're saying and they hear how you're saying it. Well, that was a lesson that I learned also in speaking to people out of anger, you know? And what I had to realize was, if I don't want people to perceive me as angry, I have to stop talking out of anger. You know, and every once in a while I catch myself and I'm like, I don't feel angry inside, but I have a feeling that's coming across that way. And I also have to be very careful of that. So it's just the same thing with peace and serenity. If you want peace and serenity in your life, you have to work on it. You know, if you don't want to be angry, those things that make you angry, you have to sit down and write them out, maybe talk to somebody, journal about it, and move through it, you know? And that's how you get to peace and serenity. But like, I hold on to it today. And if I wake up and I feel off, like, I do not start my day until I feel balanced a little bit. Which, I mean, I never feel fully balanced, but you know what I'm saying. I mean, people always say to me, Peter, you're so positive. Like, how are you so positive every day? And I'm like, I'm not. Like, it's a lot of work. You know? In fact, as an alcoholic and an addict, I think I wake up every single day with the glasses half empty. I really, truly do. And I really have to work through that to think to myself, wow, what a blessed life you have, you know? You should be, you know, just being so thankful on a daily basis of what a blessed life you have. And then I start going into that gratitude again, right? Because I can feel sorry for myself. I can be angry at the world. I can be angry at things too. And I have a right to feel my feelings. You know? But once I've felt that feeling, then it's like, do I want to stay there? I don't want to stay angry. I don't want to stay resentful. I want to be peaceful and serene. I don't know about you. But if you're getting up every day and you're angry and all this kind of stuff and you're unhappy, ask yourself, like, I mean, ultimately, it's really our own responsibility to move through that. Nobody else is responsible for our own happiness, you know? And that's something that, I'll tell that story another time. I've told it enough times that I said to my mom one time, and I was like, where did that come from, you know? We're not responsible for anybody else's happiness, and they are not responsible for ours as well. So ask yourself, what do I want the conditions of my life to be? Do I want to be happy, joyous, and free, peaceful, and serene? That just rolls off my tongue, doesn't it? Or do I want to be angry, resentful, miserable, and upset with the world? You know, see, I was going to say something else and I caught myself. I'll say PO'd. But, you know, I don't want to be that way anymore. And there have been periods in my life that I really have been that way, you know? And even when it was shown to me, sometimes I was like, that's not me. I don't know what you're talking about. Or, yes, that is me, and let me tell you the 10 reasons why that's me, okay? Let me tell you why I acted that way. Justifying it, you know? Instead of saying, wow, I don't want to be that way. You know, so many times we justify how we act instead of saying, wow, I don't want to be that way. And I had to get to the point where I had to say, wow, I want peace and serenity in my life. I don't want that, you know? And so, you know, there's a saying in recovery, and the saying is, I can't believe I'm going to say this on here, but like, justification, justification, something, and masturbation. All three, justification, rationalization, and masturbation, all three are just screwing yourself. And I believe that. I believe when we justify or rationalize the conditions of our life, instead of looking at it and going, wow, I have a lot more power over this than I want to give credit to, because if I give credit to it, then that means that I have to change something about it. But I'm screwing myself out of having a good life. I'm screwing myself out of being peaceful and serene when I do that. You know what I mean? Those people that are peaceful and serene, and I mean, I'm still working at it, okay? But those people that are role models to me, those people that are happy on a daily basis, it doesn't just come naturally to them. They've had to do a lot of work to get there, you know? And when I see people like that, I ask them, like, what do you do? What gets you there, you know? And they'll say things to me like, you know, I practice these principles in all my affairs. I practice gratitude on a daily basis. You know, I have a spiritual foundation in my life, you know. I look at what all the things I am given in my life and how thankful I am for that, and I don't want to lose any of that. And me being angry, resentful, and miserable stands in the way, you know, the sunlight of the spirit. It stands in the way of me being happy and me being able to really enjoy my life, and I don't want to do that, and I don't either. So, you know, I take a look at those people and I do what they do, and that's worked for me, you know. So anyway, at least up till now, you know, and every day is, you know, I only have a daily reprieve, and each day that I get up is a new day that I have to practice all of those tools in my toolbox again, all those skills I've learned, all of the things I've been taught. I have to practice those on a daily basis, or I can get angry, resentful, and miserable, and I could be that person again that's just like every single day I wake up is negative, and I don't want to live like that. I just don't want to live like that. Life is way too short, and I don't want any of you to live like that either, you know. So if you're feeling that way, that every day you get up, you're just looking at the world in a negative way, ask yourself, what am I gaining from this? What do I need to do to change it, you know? Anyway, I hope that you enjoy. I'm just going to stop with that meditation. I hope that you enjoy it, because it's gone kind of long. I'm almost at 18 minutes. I can't believe it. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that meditation. I love you, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.